So finally, we are going to take a look at my minimalist portable sharpening setup. But sharpening stone choice is deeply related to what type of steel do you have. I mean, the steel types of knife, it plays a big role. For example, for the type of job I was doing up until the end of March, practically I only needed this: lever, slicer, and yanagiba. And they are all non-stainless high-carbon steel. For this type of setup, if that's all I ever need to sharpen, then I don't need diamond plate. I can even maintain my knife with King 1000 and 6000 or 800 and 6000, something like that. The reason I have so many stones is because I have way too many knives. Not just materials, but the blade shape plays a big role. For example, this is Emerson Commander. With recurved blade like this, you need regular sharpening stone, not a diamond plate. I know one famous YouTuber. He is more like a outdoor gear review type of guy. He was actually demonstrating how to sharpen recurved blade. Not Emerson, but it was called Steel Raja. You know, it's a much bigger, but with a pronounced recurved blade. And he was using a small diamond plate sharpener, which is flat. Of course, you know, it's not going to touch the recurve properly. And I just can't believe, you know, YouTube knife outdoor gear reviewer is doing something like that. So anyway, that's another reason I say don't trust YouTubers. So now we are going to look at the stone I have chosen for my setup. And we talk about steel types. Stone choice, by no means, this is an ultimate setup for everyone. Obviously, everyone has different type of knives, different requirements. So don't try to copy my setup. When you watch the video, you will probably get clear idea what kind of setup you want. First, let's talk a little bit about how professionals choose knife steels. Well, an interesting truth is that they don't. Yeah, you heard it right. Chefs don't specify, well, I need a blue number 1, or I need white number 2, or no, they don't. Here is an interesting example. Tsukiji Masamoto knife catalog. I just picked up from NSL's showroom. So, what do I mean by that? Saying chefs don't specify what type of steel they want. Because that's not the job for the chefs. That's the job for bladesmiths, knife builder, whatever you call it. So let's take a look at example. This Masamoto catalog. For example, both their gyuto and gyuto, they are SK steel. Yeah, that's right, SK. Not white, not blue, SK. And you don't have a choice. If they say their gyutos are made with SK steel, that's just that. So this is their gyuto. It kind of looks like halfway between gyuto and slicer because profile is so narrow. But it didn't come that way. I used it for many, many years. And now it is a shape like this. This is actually better than the original shape for sushi bar work anyway. And I really like it. I have no complaint. And what about mukimono? It says steel, white number 1, HRC 62 to 63. Here, this is my makimono. Why they choose white number 1 for makimono, not the makimono, mukimono? And why SK for gyuto? Can you guess? The reason is pretty simple and obvious. So what is the advantage of white, especially white number 1? White number 1 contains highest rate of carbon. And its white steel is essentially pure iron and carbon, nothing else. So the advantage of white number 1 is the hardness. You can bring up the level of edge hardness to pretty high level, and it can create really, really razor sharp edge, if that's what you want to call. The downside is they will easily chip. Yes, white number 2 hardened to, HRC 63, 64 is not tough. They will get chipped very easily. By the way, HRC scale is not linear. It doesn't go this way. It goes like this. So while HRC 59 to HRC 60 is one thing, HRC 63 to 64 is pretty big jump. A lot of people, they don't know that. They shouldn't talk about hardness in HRC scale anyway in that case. But also, let's get back to gyuto and wagyuto. They are both SK steel, HRC 62, 63. Yeah, they are both the same steel. So basically the difference is just handle. Another my Masamoto I use almost every day. Again, the shape has been changed because I used it every day, every night. Oh, not every night. Usually that's used for only a preparation stage, which means during the day. And anyway, this is one of the most used knife for my kind of work. And what catalog says. Okay, Deba. Actually, they use two different steels depending on the model. Okay, it can be white number 2. An interesting thing is there is only one that uses white number 3, and this particular one says white number 2, HRC 63 to 64, which is surprisingly a little bit harder than most people would think. But I never had problem with this one, chipping and things like that. So what does it mean? That means if you don't do stupid things like modifying the bevel to really, extreme angle, they are fine. They have been doing this for what? How many years? 100 years? And I only have I have 2 Honyaki Yanagiba from Masamoto, but I don't have Kasumi Construction Yanagiba from them. And what is it? Yanagiba Honyaki. So it says white number 2, HRC 64 to 65. Yep. Again, by professional knife maker, white 2 is a proper choice for this type of work. And HRC 64 to 65 is probably as hard as you want to go for a working knife. If you want to buy a knife for bragging on the internet, YouTube, that's a whole different story. But to actually use it, yep, HRC 64, 65, you don't need to go any further than that. So what does all the talk means? Why did I spend my time talking about the steel type and hardness? Well, because those people are professionals. They know how to make a purpose-built professional tools, real-world working tools. Let me show you another example. This is a slicer by Sugimoto. And Sugimoto is more like a people who work with meat, but they also make good Yanagiba. And really good thing about them is now you can buy directly from Sugimoto. Some knife retailers in US, they carry these things, but you pay a lot more. Sugimoto has English website page, and you can directly buy from them. You can ask questions, and because Japanese yen is kind of weak, you can get them much cheaper price. And if anything happens, you can always ship it back to Sugimoto, and they will take care of you. The same story with Masamoto. If I ever drop the knife and break the tip off, I can ship them through NSLs back to Japan, and they can take care of it. Replacing the handles, same story. So that's a big advantage of buying from those people. Not just repairs, aftercares, but in first place, they choose right steels for the right job. Yep, I believe this one is also SK. Sugimoto actually doesn't tell you what type of steel. And that is actually a good thing. In very traditional way of Japanese bladesmith, blacksmith thinking is that they ask the customer, what kind of job would you do with your knife? And they decide the steel type and the hardness. The hardness is not as simple as just looking at their HRC number on computer screen. The way they harden, quenching, and then the way they do tempering. In Japanese, it's called yakimodoshi. Quenching, yakiire, tempering, yakimodoshi. It makes a huge difference how the steel and ultimately how the edge react to the impact or force or here is another good slicer. This is a gift from a friend of mine. This is, the company is Kura Ichimonji. It's a small shop in Kyushu in Japan. And yeah, it doesn't also say what type of steel. It does say steel, and it's going to get rust on their handle and on their box too. But they don't tell you what type of steel they use. Oh, by the way, don't use this Victorinox edge mag. Yeah, I'm a walking contradiction. This is really bad for your knife. The only reason I can get away with it is this knife has heavy patina on the outside, and that kind of protects. If you use it for highly polished stainless steel knife, the rubber coating inside gets stuck on the blade, and you really can't clean it off. You basically have to use very abrasive material like coarse Scotch Brite or even sandpaper, and you will, ruin the finish of the knife, of the blade. Okay, so let's take a look at my Yanagiba and lever setup. Kitayama 8000. This one is for finishing the bevel and edge with a wood base and Amaxa stone, natural stone. So for daily maintenance, I start with this and then this for this side. And then the last one is Shapton 6000. This one is for uraoshi only. Yeah, only for uraoshi. So these three can take care of your Yanagiba, lever, and or usuba, slicer, gyuto. If it's a daily maintenance, these three, they are enough. Well, and the last but not least, Atoma diamond plate setup. This is probably the ultimate setup for restaurant workers. You have to use knife every day, every night, 5 days a week, 6 days a week. So, stone holder, non-slipping mat, water mixed with dishwashing detergent, nail brush, cheap disposable towel, Atoma 1200. $400. $170. Well, it says $170, but this is sold like $150. Doesn't matter. And Spyderco Ultra Fine. And this leather pouch can be used for stropping. So this is more like a self-contained, compact, portable, minimalist setup. You can fix, modify the bevel, or repair the chip broken tips with this one. And well, 400, 1200, you use it like you normally do. You start with 400 and then finish with 1200. Incidentally, 1200 can be used for establishing 裏押し when you first purchase 出刃、柳刃、薄刃 or when you have to re-establish the 裏押し after a long time. Takes more than 1 year usually. You can use it. But don't do this every time you sharpen. Don't do it every week. Don't do it every day. You are going to wear out the knife very quickly. This set doesn't contain stone flattener. But if I have this one and this one, I can use this one to flatten the stone's face on this one. So having these two, you are covered non-stainless steel Japanese kitchen knives, stainless steel outdoor knives, even blade with unusual shape. You can do it. One thing diamond plates they don't do good is recurved blade. So these things are must. Well, I guess that's all for this video. See you in the next video.